stuff. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the most common stuff that you will see on the driver's education exam. So this is, I feel like this is a really good way for you guys to learn this content. So these handbooks also are available for, I want to say it's $2 that you can get it through the DMV. So, all right. So first question here: a person whose license is suspended may obtain a driver's license that is restricted to operating only what? What do you guys think? Persons whose license is suspended.
There's a hint. Would it be a motorcycle?
Go ahead. It would be a motorized bike, right? So they can, ride one of those little electric bicycles kind of around. Eventually, though, if somebody gets in enough trouble, they revoke all ability to be on an electric, any kind of motorized thing. An instruction permit may be obtained by successfully passing the vision and what other tests? So other than the vision test, what other tests do you have to pass?
The written test?
Yeah, there you go, the written test. Nice job. That's it. Is a photocopy of your birth certificate an acceptable document for obtaining your driver's license? A photocopy? No, it has to be the actual document, right? It cannot be a photocopy. There's so many times in so many government things, it has to be the actual document. It's lame, dude. Like it really is lame, but that's how it is. Your driving privileges may be revoked or suspended if you're convicted of what? So think of what is one way at least that you can get your driver's license. Yeah, there you go. Driving under the influence, or if you go, blowing through, the school zone or something like that, recklessly endangering people's lives, they'll suspend your license for that too. So you should pull over on the right side of the road and stop when a vehicle with flashing lights approaches. True or false? That is true. As soon as you see those flashing lights, when safe to do so, get over to the right-hand side, right, and pull on over. Always signal at least how many feet before changing lanes? 100 feet. A good rule of thumb, especially if you're doing a turn, like if I'm going to turn into a residential neighborhood, is like half a block. But obviously the numerical, it's 100 feet. Driving is a privilege, not a
right.
Exactly. There's so many things in our society that a lot of people feel like is a right. Like, oh, it's my right to do this. It's like, no, dude, that's a privilege. You get a privilege of doing that. It's not a right. The Kansas Basic Speed Law states that you must never drive a vehicle at a speed that is what?
Over the speed limit?
Really what it is it's a measure of what is reasonable for the conditions. So if like you're driving and it's in a downpour and you start to feel that little like, am I going a little bit too fast? You're probably going too fast. You know what I'm saying? So like, drive at a reasonable rate for the conditions. If it's snowy out, slow down. If it's raining, you're going to want to slow down a little bit, right? The speed limit in residential areas is what? And this is actually partly right.
35?
No, like, so think about like around your neighborhood. What's the speed limit around
50?
your neighborhood? It's 25 to 30. Yeah. Most places it's 25, but some places it's 30.
So the test is going to be 30. But I say if you're around Gardner, I don't even know a neighborhood that is 30 in Gardner. It's all 20, 25s.
Yep. Okay, so this is one of those processes of making a lane change. So how do I go from one lane, like that right lane, to the left? Like the process of what's the first thing I need to do?
Check.
Yeah.
Blind spot.
Yeah, that is to make sure that it's open next to you. Look over your shoulder, check the blind spot, signal, check again, and then you're going to make your change. Right? The worst thing you can do is something not go in right.
Somebody messed up.
Yeah, where's Sharif?
Right here.
Hi.
Did I forget something?
Couple things.
Did I?
What's your eye color?
Brown.
Okay. And then is that a 1 or a 9?
That's a 9.
Well,
Obviously.
can you see how one line's like really dark in there?
Yeah.
That's not the definition of legible.
So all that stuff, right? Biggest thing is a lot of kids, especially whenever you get behind the wheel, they don't want to turn and check, like physically check over their shoulder. That's the biggest thing that I see. Like whenever they're driving, they just want to like check the mirror, and then go over. That blind spot's huge. So. Where are your blind spots? Yeah, it's just like, and it's crazy because a lot of vehicles even have the metal part of the car like right there also, and so it kind of blocks at it. But it's essentially right over your shoulder, right over your right shoulder and left shoulders. So, whenever you are going to make a turn, is it true or false that I want to plan that turn, or can I just like, you guys all watch Family Guy? I go now, good luck everybody else. You know what I'm talking about? That one, there's a scene where they cause a huge pileup on the interstate. So you need to plan your stuff like way ahead of time. The worst thing you can do is try to like take an exit or take a turn or something last minute. Like if you miss your turn, take the extra 15 or 20 seconds to go around the block. Like it's really not that big of a deal. But what you see so many times, I saw a chick last night, she pulled sideways across 2 lanes of traffic and sat there through a light just because she missed her turn. And no one else gets to go now because this one lady missed her turn and she can't be bothered to take 30 seconds out of her life. Now everyone else has to take 2 minutes. So that shouldn't be last minute stuff. Make sure you plan stuff out. So whenever you are looking at people riding bikes, motorcycles, and those things, so which of these is the signal for a right turn? Yeah, first one, right? So it's like the tip of your hand is pointing the direction that you're going to go, right? So if they're pointing it out, it's going to be a left turn, right turn, and then stop. I've hardly ever watched people use this. It's usually one of these guys, but you will see it though. So whenever you're approaching a curve, you should slow down. They'll have signs posted, and that should be the speed limit when you're entering that curve. Usually it's posted for semis, so if like you're getting on the interstate or getting off the interstate and it says like 30 mile an hour, if you're a semi and you come into that curve going 50, you're gonna dump it, like you're gonna crash, right? So cars, don't have to worry as much about that, but like semis, you have to be at that speed limit whenever you enter that curve. So when passing, do not return to the right lane until you can see what in the rear view. So if you pass someone, you're not going to get back over until you can see what of the car behind you in the mirror. What about the front? Well, yeah, I was going to say, usually it's the headlights and the wheels. So like as soon as you can see the wheels in contact with the pavement, like, and you can see the entire front of the car. What marking says that's the no pass zone? Yeah, double lines, right? So if you see double lines, both sides can't pass. Sometimes one side will be dotted and the other side is solid, so that means that only one side of the road can pass, but the other cannot. Does that make sense? So, and if it's just like a single dotted line, then it's a passing zone. Your following distance really should be, in adverse conditions, is going to be what? Like think about the number of seconds. It's actually, should be 3. As it gets snowy and then rainy out, you need to increase that. So again, in rain, 4 seconds. In snow, I give tons of time in snow, just because you'll see people driving crazy in snow, and it just makes no sense to me. Why they get in a hurry on ice. It's crazy. What happens whenever you approach us? What should you do? Stop. It's actually against the law to go around those things, and there's a good reason, because there's going to be little kids that are going to be crossing, across the road or whatever. And it has happened, and it probably, sadly enough, will happen again, that somebody blows around a bus and kills a little kid. Like it happens more than you would think. And so just because people are so impatient to not wait for a bus. So if I am backing up, I always depend on my mirrors. Only depend on my mirrors. It should be false. You need to be looking over your shoulder, okay? So many times kids just get stuck when they're switching lanes or whatever. They just look in the mirror, like, oh, I'm good. Like, look over your shoulder. Turn your head so you can see, physically see with your eyes what you're looking at.
That's why it's called a blind spot, because your mirrors don't show it.
Parking is not allowed near these things. True or false? It is true. I got a parking ticket. It's within 15 feet. I got a parking ticket in Wichita because the guy, literally the cop was like walking it out. And I was like 14 feet away from the fire hydrant and he gave me a ticket. Yeah, he wanted to give tickets. But if I saw a video yesterday of someone who broke their window out, the fire department broke the windows of the car out, took the hose through their car and connected it to the, yeah, they'll do that.
So now you're going to get a ticket for being there, and you have to replace your windows in your car.
Yeah, they'll actually do that if you park.
Because they don't care. They got to get to that fire hose. That's your fault.
Yeah, and they don't kink it. So they won't run it under your car, they won't run it over top, it'll go through it in a straight line, like whatever that is. So it's great. When making a left or right turn at an intersection, you have to yield to pedestrians. True or false? True. It's the most basic mode of transportation has the right of way. So think about it. So if you're like the primary mode of transportation of humans is to walk. That's so like anyone who's walking, they have the right of way. Right? Now they can't walk on a highway or anything like that, but then next it's gonna be a bike. Then it's gonna be a car. Right? Pedestrians should only cross with this. True or false?
True.
Should be true. So to not do that is called jaywalking. And if you ever go to Vegas when you get older, they will arrest you for jaywalking. It's the only place in the United States I've ever seen someone get arrested for jaywalking. Yeah, crazy. Anyways, okay. Bicyclist has the same or different rights and responsibilities as us on the road. The same responsibilities. They have to stop at stop signs. They have to obey the laws of the road. Absolutely. Just because they're on a bike doesn't make them, not responsible for anything else. All registered vehicles have to have what on them? It says liability. It's a type of, your parents pay it every month. Insurance, right? You have to have liability insurance. So if you smash into somebody, you replace their car. That's what that means. You're liable for them. You guys probably have full coverage, which means if you get in a wreck, like you replace your car. But everyone has to have liability. What's crazy though is if you hit someone in a Lambo or something that's like a $500,000 car, some insurance policies only cover up to a certain amount. So if you wreck into some $1 million car, you can find yourself in a bad situation. So implied consent gives you the right to refuse an alcohol or drug test on the side of the road. Can you refuse to take a field sobriety test?
No.
You actually can refuse to take it. You lose your license whenever you do that, right? Whenever you agree to take a field sobriety test, right, they can use that in a court of law. But if you tell them, no, I'm not going to take this, then that means that basically you're guilty, right?
You automatically lose your license.
Yeah, and you
so
automatically
when you
lose your
sign that
license.
paper to get your license, I mean, you can refuse, but you're going to lose your license.
Yeah. So if you do not take that field sobriety test, you lose your license. When traveling, sunrise to sunset, and when windshield wipers are on, so it's raining, what do I have to have on?
Your leggings.
Yeah, the headlights, low beams, right? Usually low beams are gonna be your best friend. High beams are not very good, especially in adverse conditions. Like fog, you don't ever wanna turn your brights on. And another hint though too, if it's really snowy and rainy out, put sunglasses on when you're driving. Like even if it seems dark, because it reduces glare and you can see way better when you're driving in those conditions. When the pavement is clear, which areas are more likely to have ice than others? So on a snowy day or snow, and so if you're going to Walmart, it'll kind of say this too on the side of the road. What freezes before other places? What's up? Bridges, right? Any raised area, any overpasses, any bridges like that is going to have ice accumulation sooner than other places. At what speed does hydroplaning? So hydroplaning is like you have a surface of water and you just kind of skid over top of it and you lose traction. At what speed does that happen?
35.
Good. You can, especially if roads don't have good drainage, you can see those like grooves that water likes to hang out in those things. It can get loosey-goosey on you even at a low speed. Some allergies and cold pills can affect your driving. Is that true or false?
True. No.
Well, this is true or false. This question is true or false. What do you guys think?
True.
This is saying that those things will not affect your driving.
Oh.
Just, yeah, will not. But I see what, yeah. You were doing it the right way. Yes, if you take, Benadryl, things like that, it can affect your driving and make you not react the correct way.
So the main one we think about is NyQuil, right? What's the point of NyQuil? Make you tired, right? I mean, obviously to help you, but to make you tired. So you don't want to take the NyQuil, then go out and drink, and drive.
So if you get a DUI, your first fine is how much money do you think?
500.
Yeah, it's going to be at least $1,000. At least $1,000. And then you get your license suspended for either 6 months or a year. After that, you're paying all sorts of, in the midst, thousands and thousands of dollars.
Where's Olivia? Do you need corrective lenses? Like, do you wear glasses, contacts?
So 3 official sign classifications there. You can see there. So we have these regulatory signs, these warning signs, and then guide signs. The guide signs are kind of the things along the side that'll tell you, there's men working or kids at play or something like that. These other ones, though, are signs that you have to follow you have to follow all of them, but these are the signs that you see most often, are going to be those regulatory signs. Whenever you see this sign, you must
Stop.
There you go. How about this one? What does this sign mean? Yeah, but it has to be, though, that the right lane ends. And so the right lane is going to be the one that has to get over, right? Because that right lane ends. This one? Railroad crossing. How about this one?
School zone.
Yeah, well, it's pedestrian crossing, right? And so a lot of times it's school zones, but even around businesses and stuff like that, you'll see these signs. Around the city pool also, they have these pedestrian crossing places.
So the difference is you'll see right here, this is a crosswalk.
Yeah.
See how they're actually walking in the crosswalk. So you'll also see the same sign without those lines, and that's just saying a school zone.
How about this, Gardnerites? No left turn off of Main Street at Moonlight. Yeah, no left turn. Hopefully your parents have not gotten that ticket, which I understand is not awesome. So what does this mean?
There's a road in the road.
Well, yeah, but it means it's a split highway. So you guys, the traffic is coming by each other, but then after this sign, it's going to divide to where the highway's going to have one side's going to the one side, like the interstate kind of, right? Divided highway. Turning right on red means you have to do what before you take your turn? Yeah, you have to yield, right? You always have to yield to those people, especially if they have a protected left turn. Then always pedestrians. Always pedestrians. They always have the right of way. What color is designated for all the warning signs that you see? Orange. That's it. Safety orange. Blue colored signs, you'll see these on the interstate. They are going to direct you towards any kind of food, gas, those things like that. Hospitals, you can see that sign there on the left. Airports. So one of the things you guys have to do, pay attention to signs. Like, pay attention to signs whenever you're going. I'm about to drive, like literally I leave tomorrow for a 2-week road trip to New York City and stuff. And so like, we'll be using a lot of signs. When following school buses and trucks at railroad tracks, what do you have to do? Be prepared for it. Yeah. They stop because they have to before every railroad track. Yeah, so whenever they're coming into town, they have to stop at those railroad tracks. So if you double your speed, obviously your braking distance is what? Yeah, it increases 4 times, right? So just, again, that's why you always have to drive what is appropriate for the road conditions, right? If it's icy out, shoot, your stopping distance, it can be 8-10 times longer than you would think it is, right? You will do these roundabouts. So whenever you're entering a roundabout, you always have to be conscious of the people on your left side, right? Go ahead and click there, Mr. Wilson. So you are going to be entering the roundabout and you go to the right. Your main thing is watching the people and you're yielding to the people on your left, right? And so you'll see these roundabouts that are, I mean, these are taken, like, they're putting these in everywhere now, it seems like. So you're always going to enter on the right side and you're always going to exit to the right. But you always have to be conscious of these people. So if I'm this car coming up, this car on my left, I don't have to care about the people on my right. It's always concentrating on the left-hand side. If you're involved in an accident, what should you do? Yeah, stop and usually call the police. When driving in fog, do I use my high beams or low beams? Low beams. A lot of people want to use their high beams, and it just makes it to where you see a lower distance, actually. Senior citizens can take longer to recognize stuff and make decisions. True or false? That is true. You want them to do that. Like, you want old people to drive slow. It would be crazy if there was some 70-year-old guy whipping around town at 50 mile an hour. Like, he's not going to be able to slow down. He's not going to be able to see this stuff, and so he'll blow through stop signs and kill people. So they actually are doing us a favor by driving slow. You may ride in the same lane as a motorcycle if they are over to the right. That is false. That is fake news for sure. A motorcycle takes up an entire lane just like you do, right? They should, unless they're driving recklessly. In what percentage of collisions is alcohol a contributing factor, do you think, of fatal collisions?
75%.
40%. It's less than you think. What do you think contributes more?
People not paying attention.
Specifically about what not paying attention? What do they have?
Oh, the phones.
Their phones. You'll see it so much when you're out driving, and the adults are the worst ones. It's the stupidest thing ever. Like I always tell my kids, you either text or drive. You don't do both. If you're texting, you're not driving. If you're driving, you're not texting. Like, you can't, your brain does not have the ability to multitask. Like, anyone who says they multitask, they're full of crap. They're doing 2 things independently poorly. Like, you either text or drive. You don't do both.
I don't need anybody, you guys are done.
Perfect. So does it take big trucks longer or shorter amounts of time to stop than us?
Slower.
Yeah, way slower. It takes them way more time to slow down than us. I drove big trucks, and they were loaded down with water and gas and all sorts of stuff. You'd be surprised how many people just pull out in front of semis. It's like thinking that you can just stop on a dime. What's it called whenever you're right up on somebody's business? Tailgating. Don't do that. Do not tailgate. If I am behind another vehicle, should I dim my headlights?
Yes.
Yes. I should do that. So the rule, I mean, really it's just being courteous. If you know there's other cars on the road, I always turn my dims on. But if you're within 300 feet of people, you have to have your dim headlights on. What does this mean? Well, it shows you that one's coming up, right? So you're going to have a series of turns in the road that are going to be coming up. Again, if you pay attention to the signs, it'll tell you a lot about any kind of adverse conditions coming up.
So you're telling me you're around a lake, you're gonna have to expect this.
So if this happens to you, right? You look up, someone's in your lane. What's the safest thing for you to do? Which direction?
Right.
To To the right. Yeah, slow down and get over to the right. Because if this person, because what some people want to do is they think, oh, if I can just get over here, I won't hit them. But as soon as this guy looks up, what's their first instinct? Go back in their lane. So even if you're over there, their first instinct is their brain's gonna tell them, jerk the wheel to the right. So they're gonna jerk the wheel to the right, and then you're gonna hit head on, right? So slow down, pull over, and try to take a ditch if you can do that safely. What does this mean? Oh, yeah. Two-way traffic, right? Unlike the divided highway that we talked about before. So if you have a blowout, what do you do?
Get over.
Yeah, pull over somewhere safe. It's the biggest thing. If you can avoid pulling over on the interstate, do it. Sometimes you can't. So, yeah, pull over. Okay, so you guys are going to be taking, I don't know if you put the new number in.
Yeah, that's the new number.
That is the new number? Okay. So, do you guys have a device on you? Everyone have a device? So go ahead and get your devices out. So once you have your device out, you're going to go to this quiziz.com.
I wouldn't, only because it doesn't show you all of the question, like the text of the question. We have computers upstairs that they can use.
Well, in the library, if you had us log into computers.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's say the
Access.
library has computers in there too.
So write down this code on a piece of paper, write down the website and the code, and then you'll go to the library and take it.
If you don't have a device or something.
But it
Write
asks
down
you for
this
your
code, and
name,
you go to
put
the
your first and last name. Not nickname or anything like that, put what your name is.
Okay, yeah, just use hers. Good.
I don't think it's my Chromebook's that.
You wanna take a picture of it? You sure? Wow, confidence.
He just typed the code into his phone, I think.
Oh,
I'll just,
hey, resources.
Yeah, I guess.
Is there a?
Yeah, you can go in the library. So I would just
Yeah.
make sure you take a picture of this code.
Or if you want, you could just move over here,
Yeah,
plug in
there's
your
a plug in
laptop.
there.